Hello and welcome to r/AskReddit by Reddit Reader. Today's question is, children of I want to talk to your manager parents. What has been your most embarrassing experience? When I was a young child on a long-distance flight, my mother let me and my brother sleep on the floor. For safety reasons, the flight attendants told my mother that we were not allowed to sleep on the floor. She started to argue with the flight attendants, who then turned to the pilots. The pilots threatened to turn the plane around unless we get up from the floor, but she continued to argue. The pilots announced they were about to turn around because of my mother, so all the passengers got pissed. Eventually she caved in when she had all passengers and flight crew on a Boeing 747 against her. I like that a parent got hit with the "I will turn this thing around" card. She got outmonned. Before Value Village. Savers in the States, I think, changed policies. She would cut tags to get discounts, since the cashiers would basically make up whatever price they thought it would be on the spot. If they highballed it, she would get a manager involved, and I hated that. Lots of second-hand thrift shops now have a rule that items without tags will not be sold, likely for the above scenario. I was with my parents on vacation and the hotel put charges on the bill by accident. My mom marched to the front desk and demanded to see the manager. There was a long line, but she cut right in front of it. The manager wasn't very helpful, probably because she was rude. So my mom went to all the other customers in line and told them that the hotel was a scam and they were ripping us off with fake charges. She made a scene. The hotel called the police and we were escorted off the premises by actual cops. I died inside. My mum demanded to see a cafe's hygiene certificate when she saw an employee go from cutting cake in the kitchen to handling money at the till, even though the real problem is going the other way. I worked at Best Buy. I stopped in with my mom one day because she wanted to buy me the Star Wars DVD box set for my birthday. I had a huge crush on the girl that was working the customer service counter. Well, the DVD set rang up $10 more than it was priced. And my mom deliberately didn't say anything until after the transaction so she could claim the effing $5 Michigan scan law bounty. My crush didn't know how to process it and the manager was busy. So my mom tore into her about how it was her job and how she should understand how to do things at my job. To a girl I liked. My life was misery for a while afterward. Scene. Any fast food drive-through. Worker. Mom, can you please drive forward a little bit while your food finishes up? Mom. Number folds arms. Not me, but my sister-in-law. Her stepdad and mom took the family out to eat at a Red Lobster. They get there and it is super busy. So the stepdad walks up to the host and says, "Yes, we have a reservation. The problem is, Red Lobster, or at least that one, doesn't take reservations." The host explains this and says it is going to be 20 minutes wait for seating. Her stepdad flipped out and started screaming that he had called 3 hours beforehand and made a reservation. The host politely told him this was not possible as they do not take reservations again. He continues to scream at the guy and says he wants to talk to a manager. So the manager comes out and she tells him the same thing. They don't take reservations, so it's not possible that he had made one. He continues to cause a scene and people started leaving just to get away from this toxic guy. Finally, The manager says, "Fine. We will put you ahead of everyone else that has been patiently waiting their turn." He says thank you. They get seated. Once they get to the table and the waitress walks away, he slyly winks and says to my brother and the rest of the family, "That is how you get things done." I wasn't going to wait 20 minutes. My brother refused to eat or order for fear of getting food that had been spit on. My father consistently returns food to grocery stores when he is unsatisfied with the quality. The worst is when he returns the 2-pound bricks of cheddar cheese because they went moldy before they should have. I left this in my trunk since June and it hasn't even cracked 30 Celsius outside yet. It's a little more reasonable than that. Usually it should last 2 weeks in the fridge. However, if it goes moldy by day 10, he'll use the receipt he bought that with to return it. But if it is in the 15-18 day mark, which he feels it should last, he will buy a new thing of cheese and return the old one using the newer receipt. My mother is a nightmare with customer service. Even with the fact that her daughter works in customer service and deals with people like her on the daily, so many incidents stick out in my mind, but one that really embarrassed me was we were at Walmart. The stoker was struggling and dropped their price scanner thing on the ground. I was going to go help her gather her things she was struggling with when my mom came out like a bat out of hell and yelled, "You know you should pick that up, people could trip," and then she darted off with the cart. I was so embarrassed I just walked away in shame. And when I pointed it out to my mom, the girl dropped it on accident. She said, "Well, she should be more careful." When I was 6, my mom took my brothers and I out to Golden Corral for dinner. She went up to the buffet, got a steak, and came back to the table. She's an avid A1 steak sauce fan and cannot, I repeat, cannot eat steak without it. She poured out the A1 onto her plate, tasted it, and was instantly horrified. She proceeded to pour out the Golden Corral steak sauce right next to the A1 and it matched perfectly. Outraged, she called over a waitress and eventually the manager, showing them her little experiment and how she exposed the great steak sauce fraud of '06. My brothers and I were scarred for the rest of our lives. I still have nightmares about it. One time my granddad got a sausage roll at a football match during halftime. When he got back to his seat, he found it was overdone. The pastry was quite burned. The man was irate. He didn't take it back straight away as the second half was about to start, but he spent much of the second half angrily lamenting his savory snack letdown. So he takes it home, calls the customer service number on the back. I assume he had a few choice words for the poor soul on the other end, but I wasn't present for this. And keeps the remainder of the sausage roll in the freezer for the next couple of weeks. Skip ahead to the next match day. My granddad tells me we're heading out early so he can have his sausage roll replaced. The customer service line told him to go to kiosk 3 at the front of the ground next to the ticket office. When we arrive, however, the shutters are down at the food place. The old man looks around, growling and turning red in the face, stamps right over to window number 3 of the ticket office and slams his frozen burned sausage roll down like a fucking flaky gauntlet. At this point I'm trying to convince him the ticket office was a completely different department to the catering concession, but my granddad was having none of it. The lady working the ticket window continually attempted in vain to convince him the same. They sell matched tickets, not hot snacks. But this just got him angrier and angrier. Across comes a colleague behind the glass. Now there's just 2 people to rage at. Then a head steward comes to attempt to defuse the situation and my granddad begins to wave the burnt sausage roll in this man's face. I was actually surprised he didn't whack him with it. At this point I'm mortified by the whole affair, wishing I'd have stayed back at the house until near kickoff. Eventually, after an hour or so, the shutters come up on the food concession. Fella at the counter goes, "You must be Mr. Alaginge," and calmly resolves the situation, dispatching a freshly baked sausage roll with the steady hands of a surgeon. My granddad is completely satisfied with the result of his hour of insolent rage. As we're walking away, he turns to me and says, "That's how you get these things sorted. Every time after they get what they want, they just look at you smugly and say, and that's how it's done, lol, like they're so proud and just taught you some amazing life skill." Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more AskReddit content.